Okay, Jeremy's not here.
This kind of goes along with the all counter. I'll do both.
All right.
So, hi, my name is Olivia Carter, and I'll explain the role of the grammarian. And can I go ahead and do the all counter since that's myself as well? Okay, so what the grammarian does is listens to the speeches, the table topics, and tries to listen for any misuse of the English language. If you say a word, out of pretense, or I'm sorry, the tense may be wrong. Like if you use past tense when you should have been using present tense or something like that. Also, the all counter, I listen and report the amount of ahs, filler words that you use when you're kind of at a loss for words. So I'll be counting that and reporting it at the end.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, the word of the day is?
The word of the day is collusion.
All right.
Will you pick that?
No, I picked the team.
Oh.
All right.
And the meeting team is March Madness. But I thought it would be very important to this meeting because we all am almost and that's what's going on.
So, what was the word of the day?
Collusion.
Collusion.
Yes, it's COLLUSION.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Gish, can you explain what the table topics master is?
Sure. So the Table Topics Master provides topics for brief impromptu speeches of 1 to 2 minutes. And our guests are welcome to participate. It's not required, but if you feel like you want to jump in, just let me know and volunteer. And I think you'll get a better feel for it as you see how it works with the existing members.
Okay. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'll define the word collusion while I have it. It's a noun, secret or illegal cooperation or conspiracy, especially in order to cheat or deceive others.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Broussard, can you explain what the general evaluator does, please?
Sure. General evaluator is responsible for giving an overall evaluation of the meeting. So I'll go in, introduce the evaluators as well, which will evaluate the individual speech, which we have one speech tonight, and Heather will be our first evaluator. And I'll also introduce the timer and the grammarian.
Okay, Mr. Hageman, can you explain what the timer bomb does?
Yes, there are 3 parts to the meeting that are timed. Prepared speeches are timed. Diego's giving a speech that I understand is 8 to 10 minutes. So the purpose of timing is to teach you to get your ideas across in a proper time period. Green light will come on at 8 minutes, yellow light at 9 minutes, red light at 10 minutes, which is the end of the speech. You have 30 seconds from that point to end your speech to be considered having performed it properly. Table topics will go 1 to 2 minutes. Green light at 1 minute, yellow light at 1.5 minutes, red light at 2 minutes. Again, you have 30 seconds either side. Evaluations, Heather's evaluation period is 2 to 3 minutes, so green light at 2, yellow at 2:30, red at 3 minutes. And the general evaluator, I think it's 3 to 4 on his, you would know?
Technically, general evaluator is not timed.
Okay.
But I mean, you can if you want to, but you don't have to.
So those would be the 3 things that will be timed this evening.
Thank you. I would like to present our first speaker of the night, Mr. Oviedo.
Thanks, Donovan. Can everyone see the monitor clearly and properly? Okay. My fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, tonight I want to share an important environmental issue that I hope all of us in this room tonight can play a small role in being part of the solution in the future. Before I begin this discussion on the Mobile Bay, by a show of hands, who here appreciates Mobile Bay and enjoys the benefits, the coastal scenery, the landscape, the natural resources that we enjoy, the port economy, things like that? Okay, it's clear that everyone here benefits in some way from the Mobile Bay. Can I request
Justin, can I ask you to tell me what about the Mobile Bay do you appreciate the most?
Oh, well, I'm a member of Mobile Yacht Club, and we have Thursday night races in the bay every day during the sailing season, and I just love being out in the bay.
Thank you. And Maurice, can you please share with me something and share with the audience tonight what is something that you appreciate about Mobile Bay?
Well, I appreciate, well, the few times I've been at the bay, I appreciate the look of it. It looks clean. Well, the places that I've been.
Yeah, yeah.
And the scenery is great. Whether I'm on Dolphin Island or whether I'm on the West Bank or the East Bank.
Gotcha. Okay. I just wanted to hear from the audience tonight what you find valuable about Mobile Bay in order to lead into the issue at hand that I want to share with you all tonight about the health and well-being of Mobile Bay, and by extension, us who benefit from its many, many resources, for example. As you can see, Mobile Bay is a huge water body, and the only way a water body this huge can exist is on the basis of these rivers which make up the Tensile Delta. I hope you all agree with me that what happens upstream of us plays a huge factor in what the livelihood of our well-being is in Mobile Bay, whether we live on the west coast, on the west coast or the east coast. We have access to so many different resources and amenities of Mobile Bay, like the beautiful scenery, an opportunity to have a port economy that connects us with local states and also our global communities across the globe as well. And there's one particular issue at hand that is a potential threat to this, and this is called coal ash. So what coal ash is something that is left behind whenever we choose to consume coal and fossil fuels in order to meet our energy needs, like air conditioning or lighting or our computers. And this is not a specific issue to Alabama specifically. There have been issues of this type of contamination across the United States. Whenever we choose to burn coal, we leave behind a toxic soup of metals that include arsenic, lead, and mercury, for example. I'm sure I don't have to go into extreme detail explaining what neurotoxicity it has upon us, what types of adverse health effects can be wrought upon us if we come in contact with it. This is not a local issue. In 2008 in Kingston, Tennessee, 6 million tons of this toxic substance spilled into the community. It's taken over a decade to clean up and over $1 billion in cleanup costs. And in North Carolina, 39,000 tons of this toxic substance spilled into the Dan River, and eventually Duke Energy, the electric utility that is responsible for this, for proper storage and cleanup of this type of byproduct when we choose to consume coal for energy, had to pay $6 million in costs for this issue. As a result of these types of toxic spills, the EPA decided to look into this problem in order to hopefully prevent this type of issue and contamination from happening in other states across the United States. And they issued a mandate to these electric utilities to either cap in place these coal ash ponds or to excavate this type of residue and move it to a lined upland landfill. And our particular coal ash pond that is of concern for me tonight, that I wanted to share with you all, is located 25 miles north of Mobile Bay, and is called Plant Berry, owned by the Alabama Power Corporation. And you can see on the right-hand side is the coal ash pond, where Alabama Power chooses to leave the coal ash in order to decontaminate it slowly over natural processes. And on the left-hand side is the Mobile River, which is a major tributary that makes the Mobile Bay possible. And this is a close-up, this is an overhead shot of what we just looked at. This is the particular wastewater discharge site that Alabama Power is permitted to have under the Clean Water Act. But this particular site is of not a particular concern to me, and it shouldn't be of concern to you all, because Alabama Power, by being a good environmental steward, does have access to a particular site to discharge any type of waste that they would like to within reason. The problem is on the outskirted sites of the Mobile River. I worked with Mobile Baykeeper last year, and they did a thorough investigation of the water quality in this area, and they have found through their research arsenic levels to be 80 times higher than the background levels in this region, which is cause for concern, which suggests that this type of coal ash residue is leaking out of the pond, unbeknownst to Alabama Power, into the Mobile River. And we can see with this pathway that this type of contamination moves down, takes a very long journey, but eventually does reach into Mobile Bay. And Mobile Bay provides so many resources, as I mentioned before, a healthy fishing population where we enjoy seafood. And I'm sure everyone in this room recognizes that we don't want mercury and lead and arsenic to bioaccumulate in these fishes that we consume and we appreciate on a regular basis. So Alabama Power was explained the mandate of the EPA electric utilities, and they have decided in a preliminary decision to cap and place this coal ash pond. And this is of great concern to me and Mobile Baykeeper, and hopefully to you all tonight as well, that this can be a potential source for long-term contamination for not only our generation, but potentially future generations for our kids. And I wanted to explain that we have an opportunity to play a role in this solution. But before I get into explaining what that solution can be, I do want to highlight that we are making progress across the United States as well. All of these states have coal ash sites that these electric utilities have decided to be responsible stewards and have chosen to clean up their sites. Virginia is a very particular special case in the fact that there's bipartisan support. Both sides of the aisle support cleanup of these sites as well. And Tennessee as well, the electric utility has chosen to clean up their sites at the Cumberland River, as hopefully inspired due to the past Kingston spill. Now, what role can we all play tonight? Mobile Baykeeper has engaged in a public campaign calling for everyone who is a customer of Alabama Power to engage in a letter writing campaign and express your concern about their preliminary decision to cap and place this coal ash facility. Simply Google Mobile Baykeeper coal ash. It's the first hit. If you go to their website, you'll see this big green icon. Hit it, and you will be taken to a form where you can fill out your concern to Alabama Power, explaining what concerns you have about this coal ash pond no longer being deactivated and no longer under surveillance by Alabama Power. I want to thank Mobile Baykeeper specifically for being a very good steward and a very important whistleblower on this issue. They're always looking out for our well-being. They know that our well-being is tied to Mobile Bay's well-being. And I hope tonight with this presentation that I shared with you all tonight that you all can be part of the solution as well and express your concern about this coal ash pond, and hopefully they will make the right decision and choose to excavate this type of contamination for the benefit of us and future generations. Thank you.
Thank you, Diego, about that speech. That was very insightful. Okay, our next portion of the meeting will be the table topics. Mr. Gesh, can you please come up to head that?
Fellow Toastmasters guests, I have our generic list of canned internet questions for you. And I'll try and pick the ones that aren't super weird off this list for us. And for you who haven't seen this list, some of these are a little weird to talk about. Intensely personal, I think. So, can I have well, I'll throw out the question first. We'll do this softball style. So, what life lesson did you learn the hard way? Could I have a volunteer for that? Cody?
Yeah. Thank you, Justin. Fellow Toastmaster, honored guest. I've been out of Toastmaster for a couple weeks, so I thought I would volunteer first, get back into the game, get the jitters off. So what lesson have I learned in life the hard way? Well, there's probably a lot, but I'm going to talk about living a life that doesn't exceed your means. So when I first graduated and finally was able to have income coming in that didn't afford me just ramen noodles and Hot Pockets, I decided that, yeah, I got money and I can spend that money. So I went out and bought a fancy car, and just inflated my lifestyle to the point where I could. And I quickly learned that this isn't very smart because it doesn't leave you with a lot of money, a lot of cushion to save and invest and give and things that are also important besides just indulging on yourself. So through some hard lessons of doing that and learning the hard way, I had to cut back and sell some of the stuff that I purchased. And then I was able to get to where had a comfortable level where I could save and give as well. And still enjoy the things, but it's just a little bit slower process. And eventually, once you start saving and investing, you will get to a point where you can afford nicer things. It just takes some time. So patience is key in that. So thank you, Topic Master.
Thank you, Cody. Plus, who likes to be maxed out in debt? That's just too stressful.
Exactly.
Way too stressful. What's the most sensible thing you've ever heard someone say? Could I have a volunteer for that? Everybody's averting eye contact. Okay, Diego.
Justin asked me an important question about what's been the most sensible thing someone has said to me. And the one that has come to most recent memory for me would actually be something that Tom said. And that is, when I spoke with him once, one of these past meetings, I told him, Tom, I'm really upset about, this is Monday, there's nothing to look forward to on Mondays. And Tom said, listen, Diego, anytime you're not taking a sleep in the dirt is a good day. And so it took me a while to seep in that wisdom, maybe 3 or 4 weeks after the fact. But I would say that's probably one of the most sensible things I've heard someone tell me lately. Thanks, Justin.
Thanks, Diego. Thanks for volunteering. Which activities make you lose track of time? All right, come on up. What's your name? Curtis. 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 Yeah, thanks for volunteering, Curtis.
So when I think of an activity that makes me lose track of time, this actually happened last night. I don't want to say last night. It was more like last night / early morning. I just started going through a list of songs. So the activity would be listening to music, and I just kind of kept going through my list of favorites. So there's this track, and then another track, and then that kind of compiled over the course of I think I started at 11, and I didn't go to sleep until 3. It just happened. Something about listening to music just compels me to continue consuming and listening to music. So, yeah. And the reason why I've got that cup of coffee right there is because I need a boost. I had to go to work earlier today, so yeah, listening to music kind of makes me lose track of time.
Good job. Curtis, thanks for volunteering. Have you ever regretted something you did not say or do? That's one of the borderline weird ones. Come on up. Thanks.
So my question is, have I ever regretted not doing or saying something? So one of my mantras when making a decision is, I think to myself, later on will I regret not doing this? If not, then I don't do it. And if I think that I will regret looking back not doing it, then I proceed and do it, whether that decision was good or bad. So one example is I traveled to Uganda, and they had a sketchy bungee jump over the Nile. So I said my mantra to myself, I was like, will I regret not tying a skinny rope around my ankles and jumping off? No, so I'm not going to regret it. So I did not do it, and I still don't regret it. One thing that I can say, though, that I do regret, there was an opportunity to go out to Colorado with one of my friends. She was working a whitewater rafting camp, and she was telling me how much fun she had, and she was camping. And that was the one time that I did not listen to that mantra, and I regretted not going. But she came back about halfway through the summer because it was too cold. So Colorado is cold all the time. So that is my answer. Thank you.
What lifts your spirit when life gets you down? Olivia?
What lifts my spirit when life gets me down? I will have to say it's music. So whenever there is something going on, I always find a song. At work, I annoy some of my co-workers because sometimes I will finish the sentence in a song and they'll be like, where did that come from? So most people that work with me are used to it because they know that typically my answer is going to include, especially if something you did that was really good, positive or negative. Either way, I was going to highlight it by singing a song. So I do sing, it's one of my hobbies, and music is always fun for me. So it gets me going. That's my answer.
I thought we were going to hear you sing for a minute.
Yes, ma'am. Some of it, that's it.
What is your most prized possession? Wow, these are softball. Donovan?
Thank you. I have given the question, what is one of my prized possessions? If you actually really think about it, there are a lot of things that you might say. Like, for example, you might say that a piece of clothing is your prized possession, or a piece of jewelry might be a prized possession. But to me, it's like a little deeper than that. Because there's a lot of prized possessions out there, like a trophy or something like that. But I don't think of those superficial ones. I think more of the deeper ones of how it impacts me. So I would probably have to choose my parents. They were my prized possession because they taught me everything that they know, and all of what they have, all the wisdom that they have. I look at that and I use what they have done to do more of the things that I can do in the future. Thank you.
What would you not give up for $4 million in cash? guest. What's your name?
Cheryl.
Cheryl. And Cheryl.
Hi. Thank you. My question is, what would I not give up for $1 million in cash? What I would not give up for $1 million in cash is my relationship with God. I mean, I wouldn't give it up for anything. And I've also started this thing where I am trying to improve myself. It's like a self-improvement process where I started doing the hour of power in the morning. So the hour of power is 20 minutes of prayer, 20 minutes of inspirational reading, and 20 minutes of exercise. Now, I must say, that hour, I did not want to do it at first. I didn't want to get up, you know, it's hard for me to do. But I decided to commit myself to God. I told God that I would commit some time to Him and I want to build my relationship, and that's going to help in my self-improvement process. So I would not give up my relationship with God for anything. So in the mornings, I get on up, I do my hour of power, and I make my way out of the house on time so that I can get to work. So that's what I would not give up for $1 million.
What can money not buy? Maurice?
There's a lot of things that money can buy, but what can money not buy? Money can't buy happiness, but it sure helps. On a serious note, money can't buy good relationships. And you can see that as an example in a lot of celebrities. When you have a lot of money, of course you can buy a lot of things, and you may have an entourage, but when that money is gone, the entourage disappears. So that's one thing that money can't buy, is good friendships and good camaraderie and long-lasting relationships. Because if money's the only reason why you have a long relationship with somebody, then it's really shallow. And as soon as that money's gone, that person's gone. Mr. Topic Master.
Maurice, good answer. Appreciate all the volunteers. Thanks to our guests who stepped up. I'll turn the meeting back over to our Toastmaster, Don.
That was chosen, but I'm gonna brainstorm into the gonna evaluate our points. Can Mr. Broussard come up and explain?
Been a great meeting so far. Thank you, Justin, for the table topics and Diego for the speech. Now we're going to move into the evaluation portion. And Heather is going to evaluate Diego's speech on kicking coal ash out of our coast. So that's what we have.
Good evening, everybody. I evaluated Diego's speech about coal ash, everything. And to start off, what I really liked was that I thought it was really good that you kind of involved the audience in the beginning. You asked Justin and Maurice some questions, and that got people more interested, I think, and it made them think more about the topics that you were presenting. So I thought that was really good. You also stated the pros of our Mobile Bay, the scenery, having the port, having our resources like the healthy fish, so that was really good. And then you talked about these challenges that we have, the coal ash, and how it's threatening the environment, threatening the bay, and how it can contaminate the bay. And I think that what was really good was that throughout the whole speech, you really provided a lot of concrete evidence. So, good job on that. What could you have done to make this speech more effective? I wasn't really sure. I just kind of wrote that maybe you could kind of have more flow in your speech structure. I thought that this speech, compared to like other speeches that I've heard you give, was more simple and easy to understand for people that may not know a lot of the terminology. So that was pretty good. You could maybe even make it more simple, but it was pretty simple. So, and what did I like about this speech? Again, I thought it was easier to understand than in the past, and it brought this issue, this pressing issue, to the attention of a lot of people that may not know about it, that that this is a threat to the environment, to the bay. I also thought it was really good that you just thoroughly understood the topic, and that you really exhibited this passion for the subject. And you presented the audience with ways that they could do something about it, like the letter campaign. So that was really good. Not just presenting this issue, but actually a way that people can get involved in it. And it was pretty simple and easy to understand. So overall, I thought it was pretty good. You had a lot of information, and you had a lot of evidence and concrete research. So good job, Diego.
All right, now we're going to move into our other evaluations. Tom, can you give us the timers report, please?
Yes, Diego's speech went 9 minutes and 33 seconds, so well within the time limit. On table topics, Cody was 1:34, Diego was 40 seconds, Curtis was 1:15 seconds, Cheyenne was 1:23 seconds. Olivia, I had approximately 53. I actually hit the erase button before I wrote down. It was just under a minute. Donovan was 1:19 seconds, Cheryl was 57 seconds, and Maurice was 1:06. Heather's evaluation was 2 minutes and 38 seconds. Well done.
Thank you, Tom. Great report. Next, we will hear from our grammarian odd counter, Olivia. Can you please let us know how we did?
On the coal, on your speech about coal ash, you had 1 Under the table topics, Cody, 0. Diego, 9. Curtis, you had 3. Cheyenne, none. Myself, I thought I caught 1, but it's kind of hard to count your while you're actually doing the table topic. Donovan, you had 2. Cheryl, I thought you said but I think you were kind of bringing it back, so I put you down for like a possible 1. Okay. Maurice, you didn't have any, and that was it. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Olivia. And for our guests, just getting up here, y'all actually did really good, by the way. You should have seen me my first time up here. I had a ton of ums and ahs, so great job, by the way. Thanks for coming up. And I will give my general evaluation of the meeting. So I believe we started on time because I was late myself. It was a wreck on the show, but still no excuse. So good job for starting the meeting on time. I'm glad to see that we have a full meeting tonight, which is always great. I've been, missing the past few weeks. I didn't get married at my honeymoon, so it's good back to see everyone's face. Diego, great speech tonight. Really, I've actually heard a similar, and I guess it's on the same kind of topic. I had gatekeepers come to a Rotary Club meeting a while back, but I'm glad to see that y'all are still like pushing to get this solved, and it is an issue. And I believe, was anybody here for Luke's speech? Luke from the Coast Guard?
Yes, I was just thinking about that.
Were they working with berries to like help?
That speech was actually about the phosphate mounds in Mississippi, in Pascagoula.
Okay. So this, okay.
Phosphate tailings.
So, but like I said, great speech, and everybody, if you can go and click the link and send some information to Alabama Power. And table topics was really good. Appreciate everybody volunteering and doing a table topics. Not always easy, so especially our guests, thank you. And that is the general evaluation for tonight. I will now relinquish the lectern back to our Toastmaster, Don.
Thank you. Okay, does anyone have a education overview? Okay. give you a little bit. Well, public speaking is a way of speaking in different ways. Like for example, like doing a sermon is a type of public speaking. If we can actually really think about it, that people who are saying mass is actually really doing public speaking. If you might not think of that like at the exact moment, but I just wanted to know that when the priest does that sermon, it is a public speaking thing. Thank you. Mr. Broussard, can you please come back up for the awards if we have them?
Yeah, sure, we do have one award. Or, don't. No. So we do have one award tonight, but I can't give it, so I'm gonna invite Maurice up here to give the award.
Yes. Since we had pathways, there were a few people who got to level 1, but this is our next person who reached level 1 of the pathways, and this award goes to Cody Broussard.
Okay, great.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you're close to it. Were you in pathway today? Or are you still doing your compliment communication?
I just finished my 10th speech with public communication,
awesome.
so I need to put in the paperwork for an award, yeah.
So Diego will be getting his CC. So for our guests, we used to use this paper manual here, but we've switched to Pathways, which is an online tool. So I got it. This is only for doing 4 speeches. Diego just finished 10, so it's a little more meaningful on the CC.
But just as important.
But just as important, yes.
Scan it, send it to him.
Well, if we do not have any more business or comments, I think we can now wrap up our meeting. Oh, we want to do, Lawrence isn't here, but, well, does anyone want to do a speech or want to do any of the roles for next week?
I'll be here next week.
I'll be here next week.
My sister actually is having a big birthday, so
Okay.
I'll come to that week and I'll probably do a speech too.
The following, okay.
Yeah.
Well, as you all know, please sign up on Easy Speak if you'd like to do something next week. And did you guys hear about Lawrence? Like what happened?
No.
You heard, so, yeah, I don't know if he'll be here. His wife passed away.
Oh.
Yeah, so I thought we could do something, maybe get him a car and a basket of some sort or something like that.
I
Just to have-
emailed him, what's it, Monday, I emailed him for Wednesday or Thursday, and he said that he has a lot of food, so he was like a rain check on that.
Okay. So, yeah.
I think it was Sunday. I know she was.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Talked to a guy at work, he said it was sudden, unexpected, so.
Jeez.
Yeah. But, well, I mean, if y'all have any ideas, something nice we could do for them, just let me know. We got some money, Toastmasters fund to do something too, so.
I like that idea, yeah.
I agree.
Any idea when it happened?
Not sure.
It was last, because he was supposed to come to a vision thing Wednesday. It happened like either last Friday, not like 4 days ago, but like before that, in the morning. It was like 7 a.m. But he put it on Facebook because he had a heart attack. Yeah, it was like, I think it was last Friday.
Maybe we can send them some Carpe Diem Mobile Baykeepers coffee.
I agree.
What does he always drink? Black? Just regular coffee?
Yeah, he's a coffee.
I second that.
I'm sold.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for a great meeting. We'll now end the meeting.